My name is Sister Alicia, and this is the Pulse for Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. She had the reputation to eat anything put before her in high school. This is one of my fellow sisters, and one day her classmates decided to challenge this by putting something frozen and seemingly familiar before her, and as she lifted the spoonful of what appeared to be ice cream into her mouth and began to taste it, she realized this isn't what ice cream usually tastes like because they had given her dog ice cream. That is right, my friends, she had dog ice cream in her mouth. She survived the experience, and I know it's kind of a funny thing to talk about as we consider the Eucharist, but we are what we eat. But when it comes to the Eucharist, the more devoted we are and the more love and sincerity with which we receive the Eucharist, the more that we are transformed into Jesus. And so next time we prepare to receive Jesus in Holy Communion at Mass, let's think about that phrase, you are what you eat, and maybe we can change it around a little bit. As Catholics, when we receive the Eucharist, we become who we receive. This week in Heart of the Revival, we feature our next American Eucharistic witness, St. Marianne Cope. We also have a powerful testimony from a young adult named Brendan about his experience in Eucharistic adoration. And now for revival news from across the country. Tonight, I hope you plan to join Tanner and I for Mystagogy Live. Episode 5 will be joined by Bishop Bernard Schlesinger, an auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of Atlanta, and we'll be reflecting on the anamnesis. On April 13th, Father Eric Caden led over 500 people through the streets of the North End of Boston for a Eucharistic procession. This procession was the culmination of a weekend-long Eucharistic Congress in the Archdiocese of Boston. Angeli Fernandez, who led worship throughout the weekend, noted, "The Catholic Church is such a big part of the North End already, and there were lots of tourists, so it was really cool to see people who would have never walked into a church for Jesus to come to them." That's who Jesus is. He is someone who comes to people. He wants to be there with them. National Eucharistic preacher Father Luke Spanigal led the first ever Eucharistic revival on the Mississippi in the Burlington Memorial Auditorium in the Diocese of Davenport, Iowa. The day was attended by over 400 students and adults and included talks, games, a Eucharistic procession, adoration, and ended with Mass. And finally, West Catholic High School in the Diocese of Grand Rapids is seeing its own Eucharistic revival. Over 30 years ago, Lois Flickinger approached school administration and asked if there could be Eucharistic adoration for parents in the high school. They said yes. Within the past few years, her grandsons, Caleb and Elijah, have made their own Eucharistic impression on the thriving Catholic school. After a spontaneous visit to the chapel during his freshman year, Caleb, now a sophomore at Franciscan University of Steubenville, began his Eucharistic adventure. His legacy at the high school includes creating a series to explain the Eucharist to his classmates, as well as cultivating a culture of Eucharistic adoration among the student body, making sacrifices so that the chapel on campus could be open early in the morning for students to spend time with our Lord. His younger brother Elijah, now a sophomore at West, continues in his brother's footsteps. "I saw him fall in love with Jesus, and I fell in love with Jesus too." And now for our Congress moment. Well, I just wanted to share 2 things with you this week in lieu of sharing a message from one of our bishops. Number 1, we are less than 2 weeks out from the launch of the National Eucharistic Pilgrimage, and you can find out how to participate in that at eucharisticpilgrimage.org. And great news on the Congress front. As of April 26th, 80% of the passes are sold, and we are poised to fill Lucas Oil Stadium July 17th to the 21st. Please continue to pray for the Congress team as we prepare for this profound Eucharistic moment in the history of our country. As we wrap up the Pulse for this week, I want to leave you with some words from Pope St. John Paul II. "Let us be generous with our time in going to meet Jesus and ready to make reparation for the great evils of the world. Let your adoration never cease." On behalf of Bishop Andrew Cousins and the National Eucharistic Revival, Congress, and Pilgrimage teams working hard across the country, thanks for joining us for the Pulse this week, and God bless you.